Good evening, people. How are we? It's a Monday night. You know what that means? It's live stream o'clock. It's a public stream tonight. I'm expecting a lot more people in than normal. We decided this just so people know who aren't members. We decided this in the meeting last week that this week would be a public one. So we have. I set up a public meeting and here we are. First one we've had since, I think, before Christmas or just after Christmas. I can't remember. But yeah, for no other reason, to be honest with you, than just because, we sort of felt like it, didn't we? So here we are. It's for everybody. So like I said, I'm expecting a few more people than normal in tonight. So far, we have Alice in here, Mike, Sean, Robin, Jade, Richard, Jenny, and Joseph. Hello, people. Good to see you all. Good to see you all. Hope you're all doing well. Are you all warm? Because I tell you something, I'm not. I have my hoodie on as normal, but this week has just been really cold. This whole week/weekend has just been really cold. I was down on the Fens in South Holland and North Kesteven this weekend just gone, and I was absolutely freezing my you-know-what's off. It wasn't so much the temperature, it was the wind more than anything else.
It's always the wind.
And because it's so open down there and there's not much to shelter you in terms of buildings or mountains or anything like that, when the wind blows, it's cold. Shall we just say that? So yeah, I made the episodes this weekend with a fair amount of shivering going on, so hopefully it doesn't come across on camera. It doesn't with the South Holland ones that I've already done, but yeah, it was cold. So yeah, how have you been this week, people? Have you all seen yesterday's episode now? I'm expecting lots more comments on it as time goes on. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I am, of course, talking about the Bache episode, which I thought was going to be a bit controversial. But so far, no one's really said anything to that end. A couple of people have said that I handled it perfectly well, which was good, nice compliment. But that doesn't mean someone's not going to say something in the future. But yeah, I imagine you've all watched it now. So yeah, tough one to make. Tough one to put together. It's not my thing to cover public events, current events. I'm not a journalist. I said this on the post in Facebook. And I can only convey what's in front of me. So, all this sort of stuff about, the unsafe convictions and stuff like that. I mean, that was something that came out this week. So, there's no way I could have included that in it because it was 3 weeks ago when we made this. So, yeah, just a bit of it's one of them that's ongoing, isn't it? You can't really do anything about it. It's kind of like a current event. So, yeah. But, it was kind of like not doing it would have been like, not talking about the massive elephant in the room. Because if you're going to do something about the hospital, you kind of have to include that. It would have been the same 20, 30 odd years down the line. So, let's see. I'm going to scroll up some comments here because I've just been talking for the past couple of minutes and not really paying much attention to them. So let me see. Oh, I'm going to get myself comfortable here because I'm not comfortable on this chair at the moment. Right. Mike says, we'll be glad when it warms up a bit. You and me both, sir. I can't wait for it to come warmer, become sunny again for the first time this year, basically. Richard says, have you got your thermals on? I have, yes. Well, at the minute, I have my hoodie, which is, good old trusty hoodie at this time of year. When I was on the Fens this weekend, I had virtually everything thermal on you could think of. Hat, gloves, thermal leggings, my coat, my big overcoat, anything that was warm, it was on me. So it kind of had to be honest. Got all wrapped up with electric blanket on, says Joseph. Good for you, sir. Okay, when are you going to do Lindsay in Suffolk? Honestly, I'm not thinking about Suffolk this year, so you might have a long wait for that. I'm going to go out into East Anglia again at some point this year. I've not been to Essex for a long time. I just feel like I need to go back to Essex at some point. So, if I'm going to go out that way, it's going to be there, not to Suffolk, I'm afraid. So I'm not thinking about that at any point this year. But you never know. Things could alter. Things could change. They change constantly with me. I say I'm going to plan to do something, and then I change it because, something looks better, or it's better for, a hotel or something like that. So, it might alter. I don't know. So, Josie says, you managed very well with mature content, or rather, I'm pretty strong when it comes to that, but can't get to my limits. Well, everyone's got different limits, I suppose. So I'm glad that I didn't reach yours there, Joseph. It was that one of the hardest things about making that episode was actually having to look at her face while it was on my computer screen. I kind of avoided it a little bit as much as I could. But yeah,
I think it affects you more as a creator because you're a parent.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, I think that's part of what it is. Yeah. Hello, Carol. Good to see you. Hope you caught that a minute ago about me going to Essex at some point this year. Alice says you covered the facts as they are. I did. That's basically all I could do. I've had $3 from Lynn 3D Printing Studio. Thanks, Lynn. It's very well appreciated. I'm liking that. Thank you very much. Cracking. All good. Now, I did 2 Guess Where I Am's this weekend, and we decided in the meeting last week that there'll be a short to follow them, which will tell you the answer, because I'm acutely aware that sometimes when I put a Guess Where I Am out, I don't always tell people where I actually am at some point afterwards. So from now on, every time I do one of those, there will be a second short a couple of days later, which will tell you where I am, or where I was at the time. So obviously there are 2 of those coming your way in the next couple of days. I think I'll give it like 3 or 4 days between the actual Guess Where I Am and the answer. So I'm not going to tell you where I was in both of them right now here, but if you keep an eye on the channel next couple of days, you'll find out. There was one where I was on a main road through a town which used to be a river, and that was at night as well, so added challenge for you. And the one the day after, I was outside an old hospital. So one has no correlation with the other because they were in different places, definitely. So yeah, look out for that in the next couple of days. Carol, you've retracted your message there. I saw what it said. You heard about me going to Essex. Cool. In fact, where I was looking for in Essex, by the way, was Chelmsford, which of course Nikki knows very well, having lived down there at some point in her life previously. It's kind of funny. I mean, people think I'm well traveled, and I am well traveled because I go all over the place. But there are places in this country that Nikki knows quite well. I mean, parts of Buckinghamshire and certainly parts of Essex around the Chelmsford area, South Wood and Ferrers. Nikki knows them very well, and a lot of London too. So yeah, even though most of my stuff is up here in the north currently, there are some bits and bobs that we do know which are further afield. So I suppose it's just a case of what your experience is, isn't it? Depending on where life takes you, if you know what I mean. So, I'm still not comfortable on this chair for some reason. Okay. Love the new Village Guidebook series, says Mike. Very informative. Thanks, Mike. Yes, I'm enjoying doing them as well. Obviously, you've only seen 2 of them. Oh, Nikki's big thumbs up from Nikki because it was Nikki's idea, the Village Guidebook. So So Nikki, big thumbs up from her. I'm actually really enjoying doing them. I mean, they're pretty easy to make, to be honest. I mean, they're 5 minutes, and it basically is just simply a bit of information about one specific thing. So you've seen 2 of them already. You've seen one for pub signs and one for headstones, which, generally speaking, those 2 things you see in a lot of villages. The next one, which you're going to see, is to do with something that you'll see virtually everywhere, except if you live really, really far out in the sticks, and that would be street lights. I couldn't decide what to do one on this weekend, but I was just kind of looking around on the map while I was in my hotel room, just basically seeing what I could potentially do one on, and up popped this image of an area which wasn't too far away from me, which had some pretty cool looking lamps, and I thought, oh, street lights, that'd be cool. So yeah, street lights, you're going to get that next time. These village guidebook videos are going to come out every other Saturday, I've decided, and then on the other Saturday, which isn't a guidebook weekend, if that makes sense, you'll get either a Tales from the Village Green, a Beyond the Boundaries, a walk around, or whatever else I do, something different. Not an Out for a Drive, because that's staying on Thursday nights. That's a permanent fixture. It's a permanent fixture on a Thursday night. That is.
You might start doing an Out for a Walk.
Indeed. So that's basically the sort of plan. They're going to be worked into like a schedule, which is I think it's a good idea, because before they were just coming out as and when, but I think it's better to work to a system. I just prefer it that way. I like a structure. So Lynn says, have you done Ipswich yet? Well, no, because Ipswich is not a parished area. However, I do have some videos which are very close to Ipswich. Spit my tongue out. I have some close. Shall I try this again? I have some videos that are very close to Ipswich, because a couple of years ago now, myself and the good lady wife over here, we went to Felixstowe, and I did a run between Ipswich and Felixstowe itself, including Felixstowe, itself, the town itself. So yeah, they're all on the Colneys 100. So if you go and look for them in the East Suffolk series, they're the first lot. Trying to remember which ones we did. Felixstowe, Trimley St Mary, Trimley St Martin, Stratton Hall,
St Mary,
Levington. Was it just them 5? I can't remember now. It was a long time ago. But I think there were 5 of them, and I think those were the 5. Felixstowe, Trimley St Mary, Trimley St Martin, Stratton Hall, and Levington. I think they were the ones we did. So you'll have to go and have a look at them. But they're the closest we'll probably get to Ipswich. I mean, there's still some bits and bobs to do around it, but that'll come in due course. So okay, Robin says fish and chip shops. Yeah, that's a reference to something else we talked about last week. When I'm in Lancashire in 2 weeks' time, in just less than 2 weeks' time, actually, the TVI Village Guidebook I'll do there is going to be about chip shops. We already decided that because I don't know whether you guys know, there's a band out there called the Lancashire Hot Pots who have a very catchy, annoyingly catchy song called Chippy Tea, which I might see if I can worm into this episode somehow, because I'm not exactly on first name terms with the members of the band, but I have spoken to them before, and they are quite, shall we say, accommodating when it comes to things like this. So I might see if I can worm Chippy Tea into the episode. We'll see. If you're not familiar with the song, go and search it. It's hilarious. And we're always singing it, aren't we, Nikki? Every time we go to the chip shop up the road, we're always quoting Chippy Tea.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You see, we go for a chippy on a Thursday night normally.
Yeah, it's nearly Friday night.
In the song, it says it's Friday night, and within me rights, I want a chippy tea. Well, for us, it's a Thursday night, and we're within our rights. So.
And I always say to you, it's not a Friday night.
No, I know.
I get weird, get told how much I've lost, and then go and put it back on.
It's not always true. Lauren's here, by the way. I don't know whether you heard her just there. Hi, Lauren. This is one very excited kid at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because last week of school before half term, I only do 3 days instead of 5 like normal. Because Wednesday night I've got to be at school for midnight. So I'm going to Paris for school.
Yes, and I have to take her to school at midnight, which is unusual for me because I'm normally asleep at that time.
Whereas I am not.
No, I know. You're normally awake at that hour. This is going to be
Exactly.
normal for you.
Exactly. Well,
But-
not completely normal. But
Well, no,
fair
but
enough.
even so, being awake at midnight, my days of being awake at midnight are long gone, I'm afraid, people. So I'm normally in bed by 10 o'clock these days, and very, very rarely see 11. So being up at midnight on Wednesday is not going to be fun, to be honest.
Last
but
time you were up at midnight was New Year's.
it was, yeah, and that was a struggle. So, but yeah, Lauren's going to Paris with school. It's a school trip. It's art, isn't it? Art and
It's like DT. It's
DT and art, isn't
it's
it?
like art,
Yeah.
photography,
So you're seeing
graphic, stuff like that.
you're seeing basically art galleries and stuff
Culture.
generally, aren't you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, but some other sort of major Parisian landmarks as well, like the Louvre and the Eiffel Tower and
Notre Dame.
Arc de Triomphe. Have you seen that?
I can't remember, but I know. I'm pretty sure we see it Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Yeah. There's some other cool bits. I've never been to Paris, so I don't know what else really there is. But that's going to be fun for a few days. So yeah, we will miss her. I'm telling you, we will miss her. So right, it's going to have a look at a few more comments again. Jade says pubs. Well, I've done pub signs already. Sean says, will you be mentioning the old oil lit lamps that used to be the street lighting? Yes, I've already made this video, Sean. Yes, and I have mentioned the oil lit lamps. I basically went through the history of the street light from Roman times when they used to be outside villas, because we have to thank them again for this kind of thing, all the way through to the LEDs that we have now in most areas. So yeah, it was a fun little one to make, and I learned some bits and bobs when I was making that. It's funny. I mean, you look at a street light and you think it's not that interesting, generally speaking, but you don't realize, unless you live in an area that hasn't got them, you don't realize how important they are. You can walk around at night in an area that hasn't got them, like a really small village, and it's just complete blackness. You can't see a thing, and we just take them for granted, really, don't we? So yeah, sure, it'd be a good one, good video that. Carol says, what about village signs? Yeah, that's one I could do in the future. We've seen some interesting village signs, from the simple bog standard, flat thing with the name on it and nothing much else, to the more fancy ones, which depict all sorts of various bits and bobs. Yeah, I like that too, Robin. So yeah, that might be a good one. There are some lovely ones about, you're right. Okay, Joseph says, which websites do you work with when finding out how many parishes are in districts to be most accurate? I only have one for that, and it's the one which, it's the one which I've used since the beginning of the whole thing almost. Believe it or not, it's a German website. Now, that sounds weird, but it works, trust me, because it pulls all its information from the Office for National Statistics, which is kind of like my sort of Bible, if you like. And it pulls it all together with all the stats and facts and figures and that. And it includes maps as well. And it's really good. It doesn't just cover England, it covers the entire world. Every country going is on that website. You can find out all sorts of stats and facts and figures for pretty much any region, any country, anything really. It's all on there. It's called, in fact, I'll type it in the box because in case you can't understand what I'm saying, it's citypopulation.de. And even though it's a German website, it's all in English. And the data on it is absolutely astounding. So yeah, that's what I use, and it's updated frequently as well. So when there's any sort of changes that happen, it's the first thing to know, because other websites out there aren't necessarily as accurate for things like that. Wikipedia is terrible because you know the maps that appear in every episode at the beginning, at the and at the end. Quite often, when I make a new series, I have to alter those maps because they're outdated. When I made the Cheshire West and Chester map, I virtually had to change every boundary going because that still showed the old map from, you know, however long ago, and it's changed so much since then. So you know, it's best to be on a website that's updated frequently, and that one is like all the time, every single day. So if there's any kind of alterations to anything, that thing knows. So yeah, that's what I use, and it shall be what I use until, you know, the end, effectively. So and it's good too because it gets updated a lot. It means that even if there's a change that happens after I've been to a place, I can go back and look at it. So even though I've completed the likes of, well, all of Nottinghamshire and all of South Yorkshire and all that, I can go back to them and have a look and see if anything's altered. And I do that frequently because if something does change that's important, then I'll have to, you know, adapt somehow to deal with it. Like, for example, if a brand new parish is created, say, for example, if Worksop or Retford suddenly decides to cede a bit of land to make a new area, I'm going to have to go to it, you know? So yeah, I do check that regularly. But yeah, that's that more than anything else. Let's see. Comments are coming in thick and fast. They do on public streams. Lynn says, my ancestors are from Lindsey, Suffolk, sailed out of Ipswich in 1624. 34. Sorry, can't read. Cool. It's funny. A lot of people watch my stuff because they have ancestors. You know, the people that come from like abroad, mainly Americans and Australians more than anything else. Sort of two main groups that aren't British viewers, and they watch because they want to see where their people come from, effectively. So I never expected that when I started. You know, I didn't think that somebody from overseas would be interested in what I do based on the fact that they have ancestors that come from here. You know, it's just something that happened, quite frankly. It's nice that it happens, actually. It's kind of another facet to what I do, but it was never the original intention. Richard says, which chippy do you go to? Well, we have two close by, but the one we prefer is the one literally right at the end of the road. We have another one, which is about a 15-minute walk away, that Hannah prefers for some reason. Apparently Hannah reckons the other chippy has got better chip butties. I'm not terribly sure, quite frankly.
Potatoes fried in oil, shoved in a piece of bread. Indeed.
If you want a really good chippy, by the way, right? If you're ever in Withensea, if you remember the Withensea episode, you want to go to the one that's close to the seafront. I can't remember the name of it. Can you remember the name of that chippy? There's a chip.
Withensea chippy or something.
There's a chippy very close to the seafront which fries its chips in beef dripping, which is, trust me, it's like nothing you've ever tasted. If you've never had chips fried in beef dripping, you are missing out. I'll tell you that for free. I'm not sure if I covered it in the actual Withensea episode a long time ago. I might have done, but I don't remember that far back, I'm afraid. But yeah, certainly try that if you're ever in Withensea. Mike says, what did the Romans do for us? Quite a lot. Have you been to Tony's at Mosborough? No, I've not been down Mosborough for years. Richard, no, I've not been down Mosborough for years. I've had no reason to, really. Let's see. Robin says, let's go ghoulish, stocks and gibbets. You know what? That might be a good idea for Halloween time. A village guidebook at that sort of time of year would be topical, wouldn't it, if we did like stocks or gibbets or whatever. it's finding which villages have got those things these days, though, because I mean, at one time, virtually every village going would have had a set of stocks. But these days, you don't tend to see many of them. I mean, I know we've seen a couple on our travels, but certainly not present in every village. There's one that's coming up this week for all you non-members out there, which was meant to have a set of stocks. I even planned to film said set of stocks, but when I got to the place, they weren't there anymore. They're there on Google Maps if you look on the Street View image, but they're just not there now. They've been removed for whatever reason, which was a bit annoying. But we could certainly go for that at Halloween time, maybe. Dave says, check your spelling. What for? What for, sir? Check my spelling for what? Is that aimed at me? Oh, I know why. Yeah, I know why. It's because I've misspelt the website. I was trying to multitask. There you go. Try that. Try that, Dave. They say men can't multitask. Trying to talk and type at the same time, it's impossible. So, Mike says he's looked at it. It's a brilliant website. It certainly is. Alex says, I have a question about last week's meeting. I was very late, so watched it back afterwards. How the hell did the monks chuck eggs to someone on the other side of the river without them breaking? Well, this is the challenge of the World Egg Throwing Championships, isn't it? You guys who aren't members won't know what this is all about. Basically, this is to do with the wackiest event I think I've ever seen or heard of in my life. This weekend, when I was in North Kesteven, I went to a village called Swayton. And every year down there, there's something called the World Egg Throwing Championships. It's part of something called Swayton Vintage Day, which effectively is to do with farm machinery like tractors and stuff like that. But as part of it, they have this competition where you basically have two people and an egg. And the idea is to throw the egg from one person to the other without it breaking. And the distance increases with every throw. So you start 10 meters apart. And the record, I think, is something daft, like 90 odd meters, something like that. It's a lot. It's a long way. And this all started back in 1322 when there were some monks who founded, I don't know, a monastery or something down there. Can't quite remember because I haven't made this episode yet. And basically to encourage people to come to the church, they gave them eggs. But when the river was too high, it was flooded, they still gave them their eggs. But of course, they couldn't actually physically hand them to them because the water was in the way. So instead, they had to throw them over the river. So that's where it all sort of came from. And it's just gone from there. I don't know how the monks did chuck the eggs to people on the other side without them breaking. Surely they must have broken a few. They must have done. Because, I mean, I don't know if you've ever thrown an egg yourself at any point in your life.
You've had one
But
cracked on your head.
yeah, I've had one cracked on my head before, but that's different to throwing it, isn't it? I mean, if you throw an egg, you have to be pretty damn accurate to the person you're throwing it to without it, busting at any point. And apparently, if you throw it at a speed more than 120 miles an hour, it might break in midair because of the wind resistance on the shell. It can't handle it. It will just bust in midair. So I genuinely don't know how people do it. I mean, people do it, obviously. And they did it back then as well. But, there must have been some broken eggs, surely. There have to have been some broken eggs. But yeah, it'll be a fun episode to make. I've not made it yet. It's one of the ones I haven't done from this weekend. I've made, I think it's 4 of them now. But that's one of the ones that's left that I haven't. Yeah, when I put that one together, I'll know the exact record. I think it's 94.3 meters if I remember my script, but that's mental, isn't it? 94.3 meters. I mean, I can't imagine throwing an egg that far, let alone catching the damn thing without it breaking. I don't know. We do some crazy stuff in this country, don't we? Okay, so Lynn says, my wife Penny and I watch every episode. We are in Texas. Thank you very much. hello out there in Texas. Kelly's Quilts and Cruises. Dang it, stupid Wi-Fi conked out for about 15 seconds. Don't think you missed much.
Hi, Kelly.
Ah, is that one of yours? Hi. You must have found me through Nicola, or Nikki, as I call her, as everybody calls. It's only you guys who call her Nicola.
I call myself Nicola.
I know you do, but generally speaking, on here, you're only Nicola to your followers. Everybody else knows you as Nikki, don't they? So yeah. Jonathan says, fish cakes at Breck's, their homemade ones are fabulous. I'm trying to think where the chippy is at Breck's, Jonathan.
Back Sainsbury's. Yesterday.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, you're right. Yeah. I don't go up there very often, and even then when I do, it's nothing. I don't actually go and have a look in the shops or anything like that. But yeah, I'll take your advice. I might try that at some point. We'll see. Whiston has stocks, says Dave. Yes, it does. Yep. So if we make a stocks guidebook, I might come down to Whiston and do that. Might be the easiest thing to do. Richard says Tony's Chip Shop at Mosborough fry their chips in beef dripping as well. Cool. Carol says they have stocks at Havering. Havering, what's that? Applebower in Essex, right? Cool. Yeah, there are places that have got them. Kelly says the brewery my son works at fry their chips in duck fat. Wow, duck fat. I didn't even know that was a thing. Duck fat. Wow. Okay. I suppose it is because you can eat duck, can't you? I mean, every time I go to the Chinese, my go-to dish is duck. I love a bit of duck. So I imagine duck fat is also something you can fry in. Let's see. Jonathan says my New Year's keep fit resolution is long gone. Alice says, were they boiled? I assume you mean the eggs. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know whether they boil them or whether they're just raw, quite frankly, these eggs they throw around. I suppose I'll find out when I put the episode together. Maybe the chickens were more robust back then. Who knows? Let's see. Catwoman Jones, that's Pamela. Didn't know there was a meeting tonight. Yeah, I kind of announced it publicly like a couple of minutes before it actually came live. I was quite busy with some other bits. So yeah, I should have done that a bit earlier. Which is your favorite village, says Nam. You're new, not seen you before. At the minute, it's still currently Belton in Leicestershire, but that might change again. It usually does. But that one's holding the title for a while.
Did I go to Belton?
No, that was on my own that day. Catwoman Jones, are you back in rugby soon? Would be lovely to see you and Nikki and have a coffee. Well, I've still got some bits and bobs to do around rugby, yes, as you know. Obviously, you've seen a couple of Out for a Drives and the Headstones video. That was all filmed around rugby from a couple of weeks back. But I've still got some main episodes to make out there. So next time I'm down there, I promise you, next time I'm down there, I will bring Nikki with me and we will have not a coffee because I don't like it. We will have a...
you can have a hot chocolate.
Yeah, we'll have a hot drink of some description together. So yeah. Jojo says, learning so much about eggs and chips. I actually do my potato wedges in duck fat. This episode's been all about food, hasn't it?
It's like my life.
Eggs, chips, and duck fat.
It's like my live stream.
Yeah.
And everybody gets the munchies.
Yeah. Food, I tell you.
Tea, food, retro sweets, that kind of thing. We do it all on. I've got my halo. We do it all on my channel, don't we?
We do, yeah. We're always talking about food, and we always end up hungry afterwards, or at least I do.
Yeah.
So I don't quite know how it sort of gets around to food every time. It's a universal thing, isn't it? Food brings people together. There's no truer fact than that. Catwoman Jones says, I don't drink coffee either. See, we're even talking about drink as well, not just food. So we've got eggs, chips, fried in duck fat or beef dripping, and coffee. I mean, that would be a substantial meal for most people, would it not? Need something meaty though. Boy. Need something meaty to go with those egg and chips. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, yeah, the duck, I suppose. If we're frying the chips in the duck fat, may as well eat the duck as well.
It's a good like chuck a leg in.
I hope there's nobody vegan in the chat right now or anything like that. Mind you, I think if there was somebody vegan, I think it would have told us by now, would they not? Sorry, it's just a thing, isn't it? It's just a thing that happens. If someone's vegan, they always seem to let you know. So battered sausage, says Alice. Nothing wrong with a bit of battered sausage. Not my go-to at the chip shop. I'm a fish man. You know, that's my go-to at a chip shop.
Or a pie.
Spam fritter, says Richard. Mike says love battered sausages. Yeah, I do like pie occasionally. Carol's a vegan. Hi, Carol. Must be one of those vegans who doesn't say much, but it's fair enough. No discrimination or anything like that. If you're vegan, you're vegan. There's no.
Moving swiftly on.
Sorry.
Moving swiftly.
You're moving swiftly on. Yeah. I don't want to offend anybody. No, I don't want to offend anybody. Let alone a channel member. I don't want to offend a channel member, do I? So it's your choice. If you're vegan, you're vegan. That's personal life choice, I suppose. But me, I don't think I can ever be. I mean, there's too many sort of meaty things that are just too good, basically, to give them up completely. I know you can get alternatives and stuff like that, but no, I know what I like. I know what I'm going to keep eating, put it that way. So yeah, I think people, that's pretty much it. We've gone 37 minutes tonight. It's, you know what? It's so much fun when there's a public meeting, isn't it? Because more people get involved. There's more things to talk about, more sort of suggestions and stuff like that. Not saying that, just having the members' meetings is boring or anything like that, because it really isn't. But it's
nice to have the regular.
It's nice to have it's nice to have everybody just pile in with anything. It really enhances the whole thing, I think. So I think we'll do a few more of these public streams. Maybe, what did we say last week?
Once every couple of months, didn't we?
Yeah, once every couple of months we said in the members one last week. So I think we'll probably stick with that, because I think, to be honest, every now and then it's good because everyone can catch up with what's been going on behind the scenes. And it's not just this exclusive thing that just this little group have access to. Obviously, it is primarily for them, because obviously you members, you pay for it. But it's not.
It's nice for the members too.
It is, yeah, because you get to sort of reconvene with other people. Yeah, so I think we'll do this sort of once every couple of months or whatever. I'll let you know every time we do one, I think. So yeah. Pretty much that's it for this week. So this coming week, I've what have I got planned? I am going into High Peak on Monday, a week today. I'll be going to Edale and a few others close to Buxton. Speaking of which, I'll be going to the place. Have you got that bottle? One sec. There's a prop here which I can show you. When I go to High Peak next Monday, I'll be going to the place that produces this stuff, Buxton Water. It's in Green Fairfield on the outskirts of Buxton itself. I'll be taking one of these bottles as a prop to use in the episode. So yeah, that's one of the things I'm doing next week. So you'll see me next week after I come back from that particular part of Derbyshire. So yeah, thanks very much for joining me, people. I assume you're all hungry now. Go and eat some eggs and some chips and some beef dripping and some duck fat and some battered sausages and some bacon butties and whatever else we've been talking about. And wash it all down with a cup of coffee or two. I'll see you all very soon. Thanks for joining me tonight. See you later, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.